Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, Cooks by Carrie. If you're new here, I'm Carrie, and for today's Foodie Friday, I'm going to show you all how to make easy, healthy sandwich bread from simplydeliciousfood.com. This bread was so good, and I love bread, so I feel like I'm a pretty good person to ask if it was good or not. So I would definitely recommend if you're looking for a healthier substitute for sandwich bread. So without further ado, let's get on with the video. This recipe did have quite a few ingredients, but most of them you'll probably have in your house. These were what they were. You're going to want 1.5 cups warm water. Now you're not going to want it too hot, so just get it from your tap and make sure it's warm. Do not try and microwave it because it will be too hot and it could kill your yeast. Then you're going to need some instant yeast, some sugar, some white flour, some whole wheat flour, some quick cooking oats, 3 tablespoons seeds of your choice, and I went with sesame because personally I love sesame seeds like on my bagels, so I thought this would be great. But you can also use pumpkin, flax, chia, poppy, sunflower, really anything you want. You're going to need some salt, and you're going to need some butter or olive oil, but I went with olive oil because it's way healthier, but do whatever you have available to you. Also going to need a few ingredients for the topping of the bread. We're going to need a beaten egg, some more of your seeds, some more of your oats, and a little bit melted butter for brushing, and that's all. First step for this recipe is to combine the yeast, warm water, and sugar in a bowl or your measuring cup, which is just what I chose because it was the easiest, and we're going to allow this to stand for 5 minutes until foamy. Now, I was just going to kind of stir it up a little bit, but mostly leave it in the bowl. But my dad, who has made bread before, said it's best to make sure all the clumps of yeast are not there anymore, so it's like all smooth. So that's what I'm doing here, and I'm just mixing it all up. So this recipe can be made in a KitchenAid or just by hand. I felt the KitchenAid was easier for kneading it most of the way, but if you don't have one, do not worry, you can still do this recipe. So first I'm taking my whole wheat flour and I'm adding it to my mixer. Then I'm going to add my seeds and my oats, and I'm going to add in only 2 cups of my white flour. So I'm just taking some of it out of my bowl, which you'll see in a second, and I'm just giving it a quick mix to make sure everything is combined. Oh, also I'm adding in my sea salt during this as well. At this point, it has been over 5 minutes, so my yeast mixture is ready to be poured into my flour mixture, and I'm just going to mix it all up until it forms a dough. Now that it looks more like a dough, I'm adding in my olive oil and mixing again. Here I am also keeping my hand on top of my mixer because my mixer kind of bops up and down when there's a very thick mixture in it, and it's on high speed, so that's just what I'm doing here. At this point, I've got a pretty good dough mixture, so I'm going to remove it from my bowl and start kneading it with my hands and adding that 1/2 cup flour that we took out earlier now in. Now, I did not knead all of it in because I didn't need all of it, but it's just going to depend on how yours turns out. I'm also coating some flour on the surface to make sure it doesn't stick. There's a lot more kneading than what I'm going to show for this video, but I didn't want to show all of it because I felt like it was kind of repetitive, but basically I'm just going in with my hands here, and after a while of mixing, you're going to see in a second, I asked my dad to come in and help me knead it because I wasn't sure if it was too doughy yet, or if I need to knead more, or what was going on. Alright, so now I have it all kneaded, it's all ready. It does kind of look a bit, it's not completely smooth, but I was a little bit worried about that, but don't be. It's completely fine. Mine turned out, so yours will too. So I'm just taking it, putting it back in my KitchenAid bowl, and I'm covering it with saran wrap, and I'm going to leave it just sitting on my counter for an hour until it doubles in size. For me, it did take the full hour, but for you, it might vary a little bit. It has been an hour, and I'm so happy with the way the dough looks. You'll see when I take it out of the saran wrap in a second. But it is so fluffy and just, I thought, really, really cool and successful for me, because I've had things not rise before, so I was really happy. You're gonna see, so I take it out, I flip it over, and I'm cutting mine into two, because I thought, oh wow, it's so fluffy, I should make 2 loaves. And I did end up making 2 loaves, and it definitely turned out. Both of them were really good, and you'll see the end results. But if you're going to want a tall loaf, I would say just do 1 loaf. But for me, I just wanted to cut in half. But I would recommend probably just doing 1 loaf in the future. Now that I've cut it into 2 different sections, I'm taking 2 different pans. Now, I own one, this is like a bread pan. I don't really know where it came from, or you really don't need a pan like this, but I'm just greasing it with Pam on the sides, and I'm going to stick in one of the loaves. Now for this, oh, it also does have a top, which I do struggle to put on later, which you'll see in a second, but I would actually recommend don't put the top in the oven if your bread pan does have a top, because it made it cook for longer. Now you see here, I just leave it in my pan like that. I recommend squishing it down because my loaf ended up looking like that, and there's nothing wrong with it. It just is not as perfect as I want it to be. Now most of you are probably just gonna have the traditional loaf pan, which I only have one of, that's why I use my other bread pan. But for this one, I did stick it in. And instead of just leaving it like that, I press it down, and it made a much prettier loaf in the end. So I do recommend pressing it down. So now we're just letting them sit uncovered or covered. If your pan has a cover, you could put the cover on, but I honestly struggled to put on, and it just was not necessary to do. But we're going to leave them out for about 30 more minutes to rise, or as long as it takes for your oven to preheat to 390 degrees, which I am doing in this next clip. Alrighty, now it has been 30 minutes, and I'm taking a brush thing. I don't really know how you call that, but it's like it's kind of like spatula material, and I'm brushing on a beaten egg. Mine is kind of dark in color because it was kind of sitting out for a while, because this recipe took a really long time to make, but it is totally worth it in the end, I would say. But I do spill some of my egg down there, and it's totally fine. It's just going to kind of cook in the oven, and you can just remove it later. And I'm just sprinkling in as many seeds as I wish. I would say that the seeds kind of do fall off once the bread cooks, so that is kind of annoying, but they did still taste really good. So I do still recommend putting them on. But also, if you just want like a clean loaf, you don't need to put these on. So it's really up to you. And now it is time to put the loaves in my oven. I'm putting them both on the same middle rack. And like I said earlier, if you have a top to your bread pan, please leave it off. It'll give you better results. Now I'm setting a timer for 30 minutes. My loaf in the glass pan took about 35 minutes, and my covered loaf took about 40 minutes total to cook, but yours might depend. And so I'd just say check it and make sure they're golden brown. And if they are, they're done. Alright guys, now before I continue on with the video, I'm going to ask you to please subscribe, please leave a like, and please comment down below any questions about this recipe, any comments, really anything. I have a goal of getting to 100 subscribers. So if you could please help me reach that goal, please go ahead and subscribe now. Most of you guys watching are not subscribers, so if you like the content, just subscribe. It's free and it helps me so much, and it'll help me reach my goal. I'm going to give you guys a couple seconds to do that. Alrighty, assuming you all are good people and you all subscribed, we can continue with the video to see the results of this beautiful, delicious bread. So it's been about 35-40 minutes, and I'm taking my one loaf out and leaving the other one in to be there for 40 minutes. But look how good it looks. Oh my god. Now I've transferred it over to my counter so I can cut it. So I'm just going in with my knife like that and making sure the sides are not sticky. And then I want to be really careful when I move this because I don't want to spill the seeds everywhere. So I can't remember. Yeah, I just take my knife and I kind of just like pry it out like that. And I'm trying to be careful not to like cut the bread in half. So I recommend not doing this with a sharp knife, but just use whatever you have. So you can see that's where I spilled the egg, and it kind of just dried in the oven. So I just left it there. And oh, look at that bread. It is so gorgeous. It just, wow. It turned out more amazing than I could have ever imagined. So now I'm taking my bread knife, and it's still really hot, so, but I was able to hold it. And I'm cutting a slice. Ooh, you can see the steam coming off of it. This bread was so delicious with jam, butter. Look at it. It's so steamy, so good. It was truly amazing. Alright guys, that is it for this Foodie Friday. I hope you loved this video, and if you did, and for some reason you haven't subscribed or liked or comment, go ahead and do that right now. I post new videos every Monday and Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so I hope to see you here for another video. But until then, please follow me on Instagram at Cooks by Carrie. My goal is also to have 100 followers over there, so that would be great if you could do that. That's all for now. Thank you so much again, and I'll see you on Monday. Bye, guys.